Gee, thanks, Caesar. Just what I always wanted. Welcome back, everyone. I just started the paint on the second floor of the apartment, and you'll see more of that later on in the video. But for now, let's go back a couple days and see the progress I've done digging next to the cistern. You know, Caesar, I'm not going to throw this thing. I am no stranger to digging things out by hand. This house had a basement which was about 5 feet deep, which was just great for back then in 1864 when people were shorter than me, but today that just doesn't fly because it came up to about nose level on me when I tried to stand up down there. It kept hitting my head on everything. So I dug it out by hand, not because I wanted to, but I wanted to, but I wish I could have had machinery do it for me, but there was just no way to get it in there. So I was young and dumb once and dug it out by hand. It took 6 months. I did it over winter time, and I pulled out 10,000 5-gallon buckets worth of dirt. Made for a massive mound out in the yard, but the dog sure liked playing on that thing. And that wasn't the only basement. I dug out 6 other ones in this city too, just because they needed done. A lot of the foundations around here are made out of stone on the old houses, and they collapsed and or just weren't done right from the start. They weren't deep enough. So a lot of things got dug out by hand. Again, it was a situation where you just couldn't get machinery in there to do it. So hand digging was the best and safest option, but it came at a cost. I have permanent nerve damage in my elbow, which gives me very little feeling in my hand, and you see in the outtakes of my videos that I'm dropping things every now and then, and that's the reason why, because it's about half as good as it used to be. I have good days and bad days. Some days it feels like nothing but pins and needles, like when your foot falls asleep. And other days I have, fairly okay feeling. I can grip onto things for a while, and then it just goes numb and I drop stuff. So this, I believe, was the culprit. My Maddox. It's got a pick end on one side, or a pick on this side, and then the Maddox end on that end. And I believe the hitting the tough dirt around here send the shock waves up the shaft there, and it went right into my elbow, and it caused permanent nerve damage. Plus, just picking buckets up, 10,000 of them just for one basement. So you can imagine times 6 all the things that happened with that and the damage in my arm. So I no longer use this anymore, and now I use this thing. This is a rotary hammer with a shovel bit on the end of it, and believe me, that takes all the work out of it. So let's get at it, and I'll show you how it works. that is what 70 buckets looks like. I got pretty far. I think I'm about a foot lower than where it was this morning. And normally I am just doing 10 buckets a day, 7 days a week, and that gets me my 70 buckets. But for this video, I wanted to compress an entire week's worth into one day so I could have that fun bit of a time lapse. And kind of regretting it now, but about halfway through, I got a visit from Inspector Caesar. He wanted to see what I was doing, and of course, he always demands some petting, which is fine with me. It gives me a nice break. He also noticed that I switched over to my big beastie jackhammer because I ran into a layer of sandstone, and the little jackhammer just doesn't have enough power behind it to dig through that. So that's where this guy comes in. Great for situations like that. I feel like I'm living on an old lake bed because I got about 4 feet of really hard clay, and then it goes to a 4-inch layer of sandstone, and I nicknamed that thing the Bimini Road because it's just everywhere I've dug. It's in the yard, it's out in the basement, it's just everywhere. It goes somewhere that way and it ends up somewhere that way, and I just don't know much about it, but it's always always so frustrating when I run into that thing. But beneath it is a really deep layer of shale. Shale is really kind of easy to dig through. It's got some pretty colors to it too. It's like the oranges and blues and greens. But luckily, there isn't a whole lot of sandstone in there, but of course I did hit the one, so that's where this guy came in, but I'm past that layer now, and hopefully I won't run into another one. Well, it's been about 5 hours now of digging, and I am super worn out and definitely ready for a shower. So I will see you guys tomorrow when I go work over at the rental. Welcome back to day 3 of my one-day painting project. What was supposed to happen was I was going to paint the ceilings of all the bedrooms in the morning, and in the afternoon I was going to paint the walls. But this is the little bedroom above the stairs, and this room had a lot of cigarette tar staining in it. So even though they got wiped up, as soon as the first coat of paint went on, all of it started to bleed right through. So I put another coat of paint on, and another, and this is finally number 8. And I don't see any more staining anymore, which is really good because I'm getting really tired of this. 6 of these coats are stain blocker and 2 of them are ceiling paint. And as soon as I'm done with this room, I finally get to start painting the walls. This week I'm finishing up all the plastering in the bathroom, and I've been putting it off for quite some time because I just hate doing it. It's the worst thing to do, and it's even more worse in summertime because you're all kind of sweaty at the same time. You're all the sanding and it sticks to you, and you got the mask on, of course, so you're even hotter than you should be, and I just hate it. But I can't wait any longer. I gotta get that done so I can move on to the next stage of this project. But I'm going to procrastinate just a little bit longer because I want to waterproof all the seams of the tile board or the backer board in the shower. And you notice that this stuff is a little bit different than what you've seen before. It's orange. So this is what your average backer board looks like. It's gray, it's got a grid, got little dimples for where the screws go. But the only difference between the two is the orange, and that means it's got a waterproof coating on it. So any water that would migrate through the tile grout and then get onto the board cannot go any farther, at least for a certain number of years, according to the manufacturer. And how you fix the waterproof the seams between the corners and between pieces there, you'd use this stuff. This is the non-alkali tape like I used in the last bathroom on the floor. So this goes on, and then thin set goes over top of that. And that is how you do it. But I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to use this stuff. This is called Curdy Band. It is a product by Curdy. I am not a manufacturer. I'm not a sponsor. But this stuff comes in a band, comes in other funny shapes like this gaskety looking thing. I'll show you how that goes on in a minute. And you also got large blanket-like sheets. So if you didn't have this orange stuff and you just had drywall or maybe a plain old backer board in your shower and you wanted to make sure it was 100% waterproof for, I think the manufacturer says up to 10 years, you would just put that stuff on and the tile goes over top of that. But since this already is waterproof, I just need to fix the seams, and I'm going to use this and I'll show you how it goes on. First thing I do is I start with the corners, and I already marked a line here for the first corner, and this stuff just cuts like paper with scissors. And then, because it needs to go into the shape of a corner, I just fold it in half and put a crease down there like that. And I want it to hold the crease, so I just run it over an edge. The sharper the edge, the better. Holds the shape better. Next thing to do is to mix up some non-modified thin set mortar. This is my plastering bowl and my mom's old spoonchula, as she used to call it. I don't really need to mix up a whole lot of this stuff because the shower area isn't that big. So no need for the paddle mixer and the 5-gallon bucket. But of course I used cool water, and powder always goes into water, not the other way around. That way you don't get any lumps. And then I'm going to let it slake, let it sit up for about 10 minutes. I'm going to give it another stir, and I should have the consistency I'm looking for. Okay, 10 minutes is up, and this stuff is looking perfect. All right, starting at the top, and this stuff goes on just as messily as a joint compound. Using the full width of the trowel. Because I want to make sure there's an overlap between the joint compound, or I should say the thin set, and the Curdy band. So I got the stuff still folded in half, and I'm pushing it right into the corner like that, and then I can open it up like a book, and I'm just making sure the corner is pressed right into the seam there, or into the fold. Then I just work out any air bubbles behind. Just like that. And just for extra measure, I go over top of it again with some more thin set. Horizontal seams are a whole lot easier than the corners because there's only one wall to deal with at a time. So I'm just getting 6 inches width of this stuff. forgot what it's called already. Thin set, that's it. Okay. And I want to refresh this quarter just a little bit because it's starting to dry. I'm working kind of slow here with the camera. And then this just goes right in the middle of it. Just like that. And smooth out my air bubbles. A little excess will squeeze out there on the edges, just like that. Go the other way. That looks nice. And the manufacturer wants a 2-inch overlap of this product, so there's already 2 inches sticking out from the corner, so this overlap gives you that 2 inches. And then I just go over top. Quick skim coat. Make sure all the edges are completely covered. Just like that. And then I do a quick scrape across it. Take off any buildup. There it is. Perfectly good looking seam. The next part to put on is the gasket that goes around the shower. So there's a thick side right there, and there's a thin side on the other side. So this piece comes off. This is just to keep goop from getting on your shower valve. And so the thinner side would go in there just like that. So the thick side would be the tile would butt up against it, and that will give you a little bit of gasket to touch the covering, which goes over top once everything is done. So this stuff, again, just goes on with the same thin set. I'm going to put a nice wide band all around the hole here. Don't want to get anything down on the wall. Okay, just like that. Thick side out. And I want to get this as centered as I can, so I'm looking at this square on. That looks pretty good right there. Okay. And then I'm just going to smooth it out. Get rid of any of my wrinkles. Pull everything out to the edge. Okay, I'll wipe away my excess. Same thing as before when I put the gasket around the shower faucet. I'm just doing this a little bit differently for alignment. So I've got a pipe here for a shower head. It could be any 1/2-inch pipe, so I'm just threading it through like that. And I want to make sure this thing is perfectly centered, which is the whole reason I'm putting the pipe on. So I'm just sliding it on. The pipe is my guide. And then press out all of the air bubbles like that. And then finally go over everything with a little more unmodified thin set. And there it is, perfectly done.
The last few things to do in the shower are to nail on the metal outside corner bead, mud the shower side of the corner with thin set, and cover over all of the screw holes. Now I mix up some joint compound and get ready to plaster.
I got every color paint on me, yet you didn't get anything on you. How'd you do that? Well, that's it for this episode. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you know when the next video is going to come up. Caesar and I will see you next time. I'm kind of regretting the decision doing that much, but okay, please get out of here. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to give that little bit of protection. Slow down. The plastering, sorry, I tried it just because, you know, it's something new. Maybe it'll work. Okay. Sit. Thank you very much. All right. No, you gotta stay sitting. Let's go back a couple of days and watch. Get back here. Sit. No, not in the pan of paint. I'm just starting to paint on the second floor of the rental, and Caesar's walking away again. You know you're hard to work with? You are.